Our next Bible story is Gideon's 300. That's how God won with the fewest. That's right, the fewest. This is found in the book of Judges, between chapters 6 and 7, and it tells the story of how the Israelites were delivered from the oppression of the Midianites by an army of only 300 men. It's one of my favorite stories in the whole Bible. But before we get into that, if you have never subscribed to our channel, well, hit that subscribe button so that you can be notified every time we release a new animated Bible story. Also, at the end of this video, we will have some discussion questions for you, so stay around for those. And also, we want to hear about your walk with Jesus. If you would like to share your testimony, send us an email at the provided address. We might feature your story on our channel. Alright, let's dive into this amazing story. Let's start the timer. In the days of biblical judges, Israel often faced oppression under the control of surrounding nations. One such nation was the Midianites, who lived in the desert east of Israel. For 7 years, they oppressed the Israelites. Their numbers were like locusts, and their camels were without number, as countless as the sand on the seashore. They came with tents and people, and because the Israelites did not know God or His power, they cowered in fear. But God was angry that they served false gods and allowed themselves to be oppressed by the Midianites. So He told them He was going to deliver them from their oppressors. Now, this is what God told Gideon, the son of a man named Joash, who lived in the town of a small village called Ophrah. Go in, this might deliver Israel out of the hands of the Midianites. And the angel of the Lord said to him, You have the Spirit of God, mighty man in valor. Now Gideon was afraid and said, Oh, Lord, if you are going to deliver Israel by my hand, then I surely am too few. My family is the poorest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my father's house. So when Gideon tried to back out from this mission that God had given him, God reassured him and said, I will be with you, and you will defeat the Midianites as if you were striking down an army of one. Then Gideon still wasn't convinced that he could do this. So God told him to go to the edge of his father's sheep pasture at night, to take a fleece there, and to leave it out all night. And God promised that He would make the grass wet with dew only on the fleece, and that is exactly what happened. Now, the next night, Gideon went out and laid another fleece down, and did the same thing. But this time God made everything wet except for the fleece. And God said to Gideon, Enough, Gideon, you have demonstrated your faith. Now, you will win the victory. Then God spoke to Gideon again and said, Rise, you are to go down against the Midianites and defeat them. For I am sending you. So Gideon assembled 300 men to be in his army. He sent away 270 of them, and 30 were left. Then God said to Gideon, There are still too many men. Take them down to the water, and I will sift them for you there. So Gideon took these 30 men to the water, and after observing them, he noticed that 22 were scratching their private parts, and only 8 were dipping their coats in the water, as if they were washing themselves. So Gideon sent away 22 of them, and kept the 8. Then God spoke to Gideon, saying, You have too many men. Those 8 will be the ones who will go into battle with me. So Gideon gathered them together, gave them trumpets and staffs, and told them to use the lamps to light up torches. After they were ready, Gideon divided them into 3 companies. He placed one company in the middle under his command, and he placed Zebulun and Naphtali in the other 2 companies. Then he said to them, Listen carefully. When I blow a blast on my trumpet, I will say to you, Strike, strike hard. Then you will defeat the Midianites and the Amalekites. You must help one another. Wait for the blast on my trumpet until I come along with my company. Then attack. So they hid in the places where they were stationed and waited until the middle of the night, when suddenly Gideon blew his trumpet and shouted, Strike, strike hard. Kill them. They attacked and killed the soldiers of Midian and their allies, the Amalekites, and everyone fought against everyone. Now, when the 3 companies of Gideon's army were attacking, someone in the far distance lit a torch and started shouting, Look, a fire has started in Ephraim. A fire is burning among the company of Midian. And when Jether, the king of Midian, heard that they were being defeated, he fled on his horse with his escort. Gideon pursued him, wanting to catch up to him. He crossed the river Kishon and chased him even further. And just as the soldiers of Midian slipped and fell on the rocks of their defeat, Gideon caught up to Jether and killed him. This was the end of the Midianite oppression over Israel. Then afterwards, Gideon continued to oppress the Israelites. So they came and bowed before him, and he became their king. and he judged Israel for 40 years. And he had 30 sons born to him, and 2 mothers. Now, we don't know the name of one of the mothers, but the other mother was named Sephora. And she became the great-great-grandmother of Jesus Christ. Now, if you want to know more about her, we have a video on her, which you can watch after this one. During Gideon's lifetime, there was no war or disturbance. Everyone was able to live in peace and security. As a reward for his service to God and his courage to lead Israel to victory, God gave Gideon's descendants leadership over the tribe of Manasseh for many generations to come. And Manasseh became a powerful and numerous tribe in Israel. So let's apply this truth to our lives today. God uses ordinary people for extraordinary tasks. Just think about it. He chose Gideon, a man who thought he was insignificant, and used him to deliver Israel. And you might be thinking, well, I'm just an ordinary person. I don't have anything special. Well, remember that Gideon didn't think he was qualified either. He felt that he was from the weakest family, and that he was the least in his father's household. But God saw something in Gideon that the rest of the world did not see. God saw that Gideon had the heart and the desire to do what God asked of him. And look at what God did with Gideon's life after he accomplished this task. God blessed him greatly, and his descendants had leadership over the nation of Israel for 400 years. If God can transform Gideon's life, then he can transform yours. All you have to do is listen to what God says and trust him with your abilities. Are you listening? Okay, here's your reminder. Don't ever think that you are too small or too weak to do what God asks you to do. And don't ever think that you have nothing to offer. Remember, God doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies those whom He calls. Next, God can use us in many different ways. Many times we try to figure out how God wants to use us, and we try to fit ourselves into a certain mold. But God might use us in ways that we have never even imagined. And sometimes we need to step outside of our comfort zone and take risks. Gideon was comfortable with his flock of sheep, but God called him to do something much bigger than anything he had ever done. And it required him to step out of his comfort zone and do something totally new. Sometimes God might ask us to do something that requires us to stretch beyond our current abilities, but we must remember that God won't ask us to do something that we can't do. Because when He calls us to do something, He will equip us and give us everything we need to do it. Finally, God's power is made perfect in weakness. Look at 2 Corinthians chapter 12 verse 9, and he said, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Whenever we feel weak or helpless, that is the time to rely completely on God, and that's exactly what Gideon did. He relied fully on God, and God gave him the victory. So that brings us to our discussion questions. What is the biggest obstacle that you face in relying on God? And what is one small step that you can take this week to draw closer to God? If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit the like button and share it with your friends. And also, if you want to request a video, you can do so through the link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, God bless you.